Well, hello you wonderful humans, and welcome back to Pokémon Legends Arceus. With the game officially released now, I figure it would be best to go over my top 10 tips and tricks for new players to the game, and these tips will also help those of you that may have already been playing the game already. The Pokemon Company has finally decided to start changing up the tried and true method for their Pokemon games and really started to innovate with Pokemon Legends Arceus. So if you thought you knew everything you needed to know about Pokemon when getting into this game, trust me, there is a ton of new mechanics. And the first thing we're going to cover today is actually this new farming system. So you can actually farm the majority of the items that you need in the game for crafting, and crafting is going to play a very large role in your gameplay. So we've got our crops here. I think they're not quite ready to harvest, which is okay, but you can see quite a few things here. But if we head over to this left area on the farm in Jubilife Village, we can talk to good old Miller here, and you get to actually upgrade your farm. We've got it to 3 crop plots, but he's got another quest for us right now, and let's see if we can actually complete this. So first thing you're going to need to do is make sure you start upgrading your farm, so that way you can get more items. Now for this 4th quest, which I believe is the final quest to unlock all 4 plots, we need to provide another Pokemon that can use Rock Smash. For each 3 of these particular quests, you'll need to provide a different type of Pokemon. One that can dig, one that can use water, and one that can use Rock Smash to smash those rocks in that last little crop plot. Perfect. Now we have all 4 crop plots for our farm. And really the important thing here is to make sure that you're constantly farming up new items and collecting all of your resources. This is really going to help you with your crafting. Now our next tip really meshes well with the previous one of farming, because in this game you can feed wild Pokemon, and it does a couple of different things. One of the major focuses in the game is actually researching Pokemon. Now, Luxio here doesn't have a research task to be able to feed it, but many other Pokemon will. And you can use this to level up your research levels. But not only can you fulfill your research tasks, but different types of berries will have different bonuses. Like the Oran berry you can use to draw their attention, so you can get it to like look away from you, so then you can sneak up on a Pokemon. Each berry has its own little bonus, like increased XP or doling reactions or being able to calm Pokemon. And if you just want to catch them easier, you can use the raspberries. So stockpiling these berries will come in pretty handy for fulfilling research tasks and just quickly catching Pokemon that you want. So we throw out that raspberry there. It distracts the Pokemon and lures it in. And then we can sneak up on it and just slap it with a Pokeball. And maybe we'll have an increased chance of catching it. Wham bam, thank you ma'am. We didn't even have to go into combat. It's super nice. And tip number 3. I know a lot of people like to start off their game by shiny hunting the starters. Now it does appear after exhaustive testing that the starting Pokemon choice are in fact shiny locked. And you can actually get all 3 starting Pokemon in this game without having to trade, because you can get them in the post-game either as a gift from the professor or by catching them in the wild in distortions. Tip number 4. EVs and IVs are gone and have now been replaced with something called Grit. And if we go into Typhlosion's summary here, we can scroll over to this tab, and we can see that there is a different level next to HP attack, defense speed, special defense, and special attack. All of these stats can be increased, so you can drastically increase the power of your Pokemon across all of your stats. And the way you do this is with an item called Grit. We've got Grit Dust, Gravel, and Pebbles. Now each of these allow us to level up our Grit to a certain level. With the Dust, we can level it up to level 3. So we can use it on Typhlosion, and we can increase HP to effort level 1. And we can continuously doing this for all stats up to level 3, which is pretty awesome. But obviously, you're going to need to collect a lot of this dust. Now, you can collect the dust by defeating Pokemon, catching Pokemon, going into the dimensional rifts and things like that. They'll be on the ground. So there's quite a few ways to be able to acquire these grits. And you're going to need all different tiers of them to be able to fully level up your Grit. So if we go up to the grit gravel, we can level up then to level 5, so we can increase our HP to level 5 if we so desire. And so now we're at 199 HP, then we're at 203, and then we're going to get to 206. And if we use our grit pebble, we can get up to 223 HP, so quite a big boost at these higher levels. So you can really make your Pokemon powerful, and it's just a matter of farming up all those different grit items. The vast majority of craftable items do use materials that you can farm up on the farm in Jubilife Village, but you might run into items like wood here that you have to find out in the wild. You can also find all of these items out in the wild as well, but wood being one of the ones that you cannot farm up. Now, wood can be found, you guessed it, next to trees. So there's big patches of like forest and stuff like that, and you might be able to find a piece of wood lying on the ground. So just keep an eye out when you're traveling through the world for pieces of wood around the trees, because you'll need them for various items, and you can actually make quite a bit of money from the wood by crafting those dolls. For the next tip, there's actually quite a few different ways to go about catching Pokemon. You can battle them and lower their health to be able to catch them in battle. You can do status effects to help you catch them, or you can sneak up on them. My favorite Pokeball in the game right now is the Wing Ball, because you can throw them from very far away before a Pokemon recognizes you're even there. And if you hit them, you have a pretty high chance of catching them with the Wing Balls. So they're really my favorite Pokeball in the game. The Laden Balls are really what's supposed to be meant for doing this kind of catching at a higher rate of unsuspecting Pokemon. But it seems like the other ones, the Wing Balls, work really well too. But the problem about the heavy balls is they are freaking heavy, and you have to get really, 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 really close to be able to hit them with one. But they definitely work quite well, and we should be able to catch this bird. There we go. So yeah, my favorite set of Pokeballs are definitely the 3 different versions of the Air or Wing Ball and the Heavy Balls. I seem to be using these more often than not. I still do craft Great Balls and keep them with me for if I'm in battle, but for the most part I'm using these. Now, on note of the Air Ball or Wing Ball or whatever tier you're using, they don't fly to the center reticle on your aiming. So you need to aim like a little bit lower because they fly high. And if you do that, you should be able to be right on target. So you kind of put like aim center mass, really. Kind of do it just like that, and wham bam, thank you ma'am. You're going to be catching Pokemon all day, every day. Next up is going to be gathering. There's some tips here that we can go over that are going to be helpful for getting rare resources, but you're going to find things like this in the world. And you're probably going to be wondering, well, how do I actually get these? And you get them by just tossing your Pokemon at them, and they'll actually harvest everything up for you, which is pretty sweet. And there's another thing, like these trees here, it functions in a very similar way. You just kind of toss your Pokemon at it, and it'll gather up all of the berries and stuff that's in the tree. But then you'll also have these things on the ground, which you can just pick up manually, which is really nice. But there are rare resources that you can find, and things that you wouldn't really suspect at first glance that would be something that you could gather. But you absolutely can. Like, you'll run into various things in the world that kind of look not necessarily out of place, but slightly different. Like this little bush here. I don't even know what to call it. I thought maybe a Pokemon was hiding in it for the first time, but it's actually just something that you can harvest up. So you'll find these different types of things like this in every zone. So just make sure to keep an eye out for it. It's going to be a good way to get resources for crafting and stuff like that. And what's great is if you happen... Ooh, that's what I was looking for. So let's switch over to our speedy mount. That's a bird. It's like a speedy mount, but not. Oh, don't do that. That's a pretty solid tip. Don't fall out of the sky. But you'll find these resources that have this golden glow to them. They actually have a potential for having some rare resources in them. So we got some Stardust, Tumblestone, and Iron Chunks. But you can get like evolution items from things like that too, like Sunstones, Firestones, all of that fun stuff from those like shining versions of them. Then you'll see things that are shaking. These are going to have Pokemon inside of them. You might actually have research things for this. But when you attack them, the Pokemon will come out, and you can catch it or murder it or do whatever you want to do. So long story short, just keep an eye out for all of the available gatherable resources out there, and especially go out of your way to gather up the ones that have like that golden sparkle. Tip number 8, and you're going to probably want to start this one relatively early on in your playthrough. You can get a shiny charm in Pokemon Legends Arceus, and it gives you a substantial boost to finding shiny Pokemon out in the wild. Now, the downside is you not only need to catch all of the Pokemon, but you need to complete their research level. So you need to get every single Pokemon in the Pokedex to research level 10. I believe there's like 2 Pokemon that this doesn't count for that you can get in the end game, but essentially, as you're playing through, make sure to complete the research levels for every Pokemon you come across if you do care about getting the shiny charm. Now, obviously, you can do this in the post-game, so if you want to rush through the story and just do it in the post-game, then you can do that. But just keep in mind, if it's easy, you might as well knock it out while you can, because you're going to have to be leveling up your character as you play through anyways to be able to get higher level Pokemon. So right now, I'm a 5th star member on this playthrough, and we can get Pokemon to level 65 and below to obey us. And to be able to level up this star rating, you need to complete your research tasks anyways, and you're kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Now this leads me to tip number 9, the fastest way to level up not only your character star rating, but also your research tasks. Now when you look into the research tasks, you're going to see a whole list of things. You could actually get the research level 10 without even really catching the Pokemon, although it'll make it a little bit easier. But there's a bunch of different ways to level up these research tasks. You can see number of caught has this red arrow above it. So if you continuously complete this, you'll be able to increase the amount of research points that you'll get every time you do it, or at least when you catch like that 1, 3, 6, 12, and 25. Or you could go through and you could defeat them all with electric type moves, a whole bunch of them, and you could level up research to level 10. If you don't want to ever touch a Psyduck, you could just murder it with your Pokemon and get to research level 10 that way. So there's quite a few different ways, and you can really pick and choose which way is going to be fastest for what you're doing, because each Pokemon will have its own research task. Like this guy right here, we can defeat it with a flying type move, and we can level it up this way. So just kind of keep that in mind. You don't have to spam catch the Pokemon. You don't even really have to catch them at all. You could murder them. You could feed them. There's a bunch of different ways depending on the Pokemon to achieve this. And once you figure out the path that you would like to do, then you can basically max out the Pokemon in an area really quickly, which will help you also level up your character's star rating to be able to use higher level Pokemon. Now last but certainly not least, mass outbreaks. This is a new feature in Pokemon Legends Arceus, and if you go to your map here, or when you go to travel, you can see here that there is a mass outbreak in the Coronet Highlands. Now, anytime you go to travel to a new location, you might see a different one of these icons throughout the world, and you're going to want to go to these specifically if you're trying to get that specific Pokemon as a shiny. Like, I don't know who wants a shiny nose pass, but we can go here and check it out. Now, when you get to the location, it will be shown on the map where the mass outbreak is, so you can go pretty much directly to it. Now, there's a couple cool things about these outbreaks. So here's our first mass outbreak, and essentially it spawns in a bunch of these Pokemon here in this spot. You don't have to fight all of them. You can sneak up on them and capture them if you want. Now, as you capture them, they're going to spawn more in, which is why it's such a good way. Oh, there's a big one right there too. Oh, and it spawned an alpha. So this is going to be a great way to be able to not only get shinies, but maybe you want a larger Pokemon or a smaller Pokemon. And you can use this to spawn alphas as well, which is pretty freaking cool. Now, the outbreak won't last forever, so you got to try and catch or take down as many of them as quickly as possible to have a higher chance of spawning like a alpha or a shiny or something like that. But hiding in bushes and just continuously throwing Pokeballs is a pretty good way of dealing with these outbreaks, as you can see. And I'm hoping that maybe we could get a shiny on camera here, but we don't seem to be getting that lucky. But that is essentially how the mass outbreaks works. It's going to be really difficult to try and kill them all with just, really quickly with Pokemon, so I recommend hiding in a bush and just chucking Pokeballs. It seems to work pretty well. But I really do hope everybody enjoyed today's video. We are trying to hit 1 million subscribers this year, so a sub would be greatly appreciated, and I hope to see you all in the next one.